All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Finance Committee meeting for Wednesday, October 2nd. We have two people that are participating remotely, Nick and Heather. So as our first item of business, as required by bylaws, is to reorganize the committee and select new chair, vice chair, and clerk. I'll open the floor for nominations.
I'd like to nominate Victoria Duckworth as chair.
Second.
Okay. Any other nominations? You accept? Okay. I'll take a roll call vote. Skip?
Aye.
Angelina?
Aye.
Heather?
Aye.
Nick? Nick?
Aye.
And did I get
Me, aye.
Mark? Sorry. And Victoria?
Aye.
And Rick votes aye. Clear, motion carried. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks, Mark.
All yours.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Okay, so then the second order would be to choose the vice chair. Do I have a motion to nominate?
I'd like to nominate Skip for vice chair.
Second?
Vice.
face.
What happened to you?
I'm good. You can have it.
Okay. Fine.
Okay. Any other discussion on that? All right, we'll take a vote. Mark?
Aye.
Angelina? Aye. Victoria says aye. Greg?
Aye.
Heather?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
And Victoria says, or
Nick,
Nick's.
Yeah.
Did I say Nick?
You did.
No, that's Skip.
Skip. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, no, I abstain. His character's on the question.
That carries. Congratulations, Skip.
Oh, thank you.
Perfect. And next would be to nominate the new clerk. Do I have a motion to nominate a clerk?
I nominate Angelina for clerk.
I second. So there.
Any other discussion? Okay, perfect. Mark?
Aye.
Angelina? Aye. Victoria says aye. Greg?
Aye.
Skip?
Aye.
Heather?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
All right, that holds. Perfect. We have a new leadership board. Congratulations, everybody. Okay, so the next piece is to open the public hearing for us to review the town meeting warrant article. Do I have a motion to
I
open the
move
public
to open the public hearing for the review of the fall town meeting warrant.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, and I'm just gonna mix it up. Heather,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Angelina. Aye. Victoria says aye. Greg,
Aye.
Skip.
Aye.
Perfect. We are open. Okay, so we have some valued guests here to walk us through the warrant for the fall town meeting. I believe first we have the Board of Sewer Commissioner. So that's Article 7, 8, and 9. If Paul, you'd like to step forward and walk us through your warrant articles.
You gonna shake things up this year or anything different? or-
Actually not. See last meeting.
Okay, that's fine. Thanks for coming, Paul.
I move we support our, no, I'm just kidding.
But legitimately, so Paul Canoia, DPW director, it is the same explanation I've given to every meeting. The Article 17, the 150,000 into
Article
operational
7?
17, oh, 7, sorry,
Yeah.
7. I need
Aaron,
glasses.
1 there.
O&M emergency is literally just what it means. A lot of costs that we have no idea when we're doing the budget. 6 months, 8 months early, we don't know what the flows are gonna be, what the loads are gonna be, what the electricity costs will be, what the sludge disposal costs will be. And that covers those unexpected costs that we can't avoid. You need electricity and you need to get rid of the product, so.
I
That's
know, just on that,
Sure.
if I may, putting you on the spot, in the last couple of years, what have you been spending out of that? Once you put that 150 in, are you spending all of it, a portion of it?
Pretty close to all of it.
All of it?
For example, Upper Blackstone, where we get rid of our sludge, shut down for the month of June. They had a mechanical failure. They couldn't get the part for 6 weeks. So we had to scramble to find an alternative location to remove our sludge, which is 50,000 gallons a week. So we were trucking it to Lawrence. They would only take 9,000 gallons at a time, double the cost to dispose of it. We had to hire a different truck because we can't truck it ourselves. We don't have a 9,000 gallon tank. It had to be done on a Saturday, so it was paying people overtime to pump it. So it's
It's very costly.
very costly for a 6 week
Yeah.
6 week thing. So and then again, with all the rain we had last year, we don't know what the flows are going to be. As soon as a clean drop of water, even though it might come out of a sump pump or a leak in the system, a clean drop of water, as soon as it touches contaminated water, it's not contaminated and has to be treated as such. So it's increased chemical usage and electricity to move the water through.
Thank you for that explanation.
So, are we good on that one?
Yep.
Article 8, basically the same idea, only it's used for different functions. It's used for, we have not only the treatment plant, but 17 pump stations, and those 17 pump stations require constant maintenance. It's a harsh environment. So right now we have 3 pumps on order that failed over the last 3 or 4 months. You don't know when they're gonna fail. While the maintenance is good, we have some in the system that have lasted 35 years and some that last 5. So those are $10,000 to $20,000 a piece, and there's 50 of them throughout the system, so it's just a matter of, covers those kind of unexpected costs that you can't possibly put into a capital budget, because you just don't know when things are gonna fail.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
And 9?
And 9 is, a lot of this, we don't spend this necessarily every year, this amount, on software upgrades to the SCADA system, and just really things like that. It's not, hopefully we don't spend much of it at all, but we did spend a lot of it last year because we upgraded the whole service system, which is all new software, which then blows everything else up in the meeting.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that because that was from the last town meeting, right? We
Right.
transferred some of that fundage over for both the plan and then, purchasing that upgrade. That all has
So the
gone
servers all
smoothly?
go in, but as soon as that goes in, all new software, then everything else has to be remapped and redrawn, and then literally things are still, a year later, still not
Of course.
100%, so.
So if you don't spend that, it just goes right back into your retained earnings account at
Correct,
the end of the year.
yes. Yep.
Are we gonna wait until the end, or are we gonna take positions as we talk about the articles? What's your preference?
That's a great question. And maybe in the interest of time, we should just take positions as we go, as I feel like this is a fairly straightforward.
I'd make a motion that we support and recommend the approval of Article 7 as printed.
Second,
Any additional discussion on 7? Seeing none, let's take a vote to approve 7 as written. Heather?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Mark?
Yes.
Angelina? Aye. Victoria says aye. Greg?
Aye.
And Skip?
aye,
I make a motion we approve Article 8 and recommend approval of Article 8 as presented.
second,
Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote. Heather?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Angelina? Aye. Victoria says aye. Greg?
Aye.
And Skip?
aye,
And I make a motion that we recommend approval of Article 9 as written.
second,
Any further discussion on Article 9? Seeing none, roll call vote. Heather?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Angelina? Aye. Victoria says aye. Greg?
Aye.
And Skip?
aye.
Perfect. All 3 motions have passed.
Always nice to see you, sir.
Always nice to
Thank
be
you,
here.
Paul.
All right,
Appreciate it.
yep, have a good rest of your night.
You as well.
Look, everybody.
We're ruthless and mean.
Yeah, you can see it.
All right, so next we have some representatives from the South Grafton Water District here to represent Articles 3 and 4.
Good evening, Steve Lemoyne, Superintendent, South Grafton Water.
Honor Seaver, Treasurer.
How are you guys this evening?
Good, and yourself?
Excellent, thank you. So these articles are about taking, extending your lease for 30 years for that parcel, as well as granting an easement. So can we start with Article 3?
Correct. Article 3 is just basically a simple easement renewal. It's 3.77 acres. which is a zone 1 around the Ferry Street well, which is our larger well. Yeah, it's currently shut down. We're going to be building a water treatment plant to deal with POFA, POFS chemicals. We're on Article 3, so we'll get to Article 4.
How long have you had that property? Since
We've
95?
had it for 30 years. We constructed well 3 in 1996. This lease was done as a requirement to the DEP water supply for the protection around the well.
Is there a reason why we don't just buy it?
Did we buy it?
No?
Nope, but the town owns it.
Oh, the town owns it, they
Yeah,
lease it from the
we
town.
own it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. See how much I know? I
Right,
wasn't
that way
here 30 years
I
ago.
can keep my hook from Steve.
There you go.
Yeah. No, it's consistent with what we've been doing.
Okay.
And Steve and I have been working together on this for a bit.
Yes,
with
town
William as well,
council's
and-
Okay.
Yeah.
approved, and our council, Merrick O'Connell, is also approved.
If I had read the article closely and said between the town and the landlord, I
I
probably
wasn't
would have
gonna, I
understood
wasn't gonna
that.
point that out.
You can point that out because that's pretty dumb on my part, so.
Well, now,
Keep that out of the minutes, Amber. Well, this is pretty straightforward. I recommend I move that we recommend Article 3 as presented.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote. Heather,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Angelina. Aye. Victoria says aye. Greg.
Aye.
And Skip.
Aye.
All right, that passes unanimously. And on to Article 4. So this is an additional 50-foot easement.
It's a 50-foot utility right-of-way. It's part of the easement property. We're looking to bring a gas line in as well as a sewer line. The new state requirements for drinking water facilities, you're required to have a restroom. So we're one of the few fortunate ones that have availability to town sewer. So there'll be a small pump system that'll move gray water up to the town sewer system. The gas line will be brought in primarily for powering up a large generator. So if there's a power outage, we'll have water.
Is that the plumbing code that requires the bathroom?
It is.
Yep.
State plumbing code.
When was that enacted?
This year.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
The plumbers have a very strong lobby.
I
They
clearly
do. They're not budging.
They're not-
We've tried.
fair enough. Do I see a motion or
Yeah, I make a motion that we recommend for approval Article 4 as printed.
Second.
any further discussion on Article 4? Okay, roll call vote. Heather,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Angelina. Aye. Victoria says aye. Greg.
Aye.
Skip.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
See you.
Thank you very much, you guys.
Thanks.
Okay, moving right along. Next on our agenda is to walk through the citizens petitions, which is Articles 15, 16, 17, and 18, and I'd like to take those in order, please. So Article 15, if there's anyone here to represent Article 15, which I believe...
Millstone Drive.
Thank you.
Is there somebody here for Millstone Drive? Is that you, sir?
No,
Oh,
No.
is it, there's
no,
nobody here?
he's here for 17.
No. Amber, do you got the?
Yeah, so
Oh, Fiona's
Steve
here.
Benacasa spoke at the select board meeting, and I touched base with one of the engineers on that project last week, so I'm surprised that there's no one in attendance.
Has the road been built to subdivision standards?
Yeah.
Has the planning board, has the select board adopted the layout of the roadway?
Fiona's eagerly raising her hand, so I think I'm calling her
Fiona, sorry,
before she
Fiona.
blows up.
Please enlighten us.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
Hold
So,
on, hold on one second.
thank you all.
Fiona, hold on one second. So last night you came to the select board meeting in person, and tonight you're on Zoom. I just wanted to ask the question. Now we know where we rate.
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
oh no, I'm already like off to a bad start here. Okay, had to bounce back from that. So yes, to answer Mark's question, the planning board did issue a determination of completeness. The road is built up to subdivision rules and regs. There was no concerns. We issued a letter to that effect to the select board. They had their layout hearing. Then it came back to us, and we, for Mass General Law, we had to do a final referral to town meeting, which was done. Very convoluted, long process, but they did do everything they were supposed to, and the board has no concerns. So this is good to go. The road has essentially been constructed since,
So the select board accepted the layout?
Correct.
Okay, then I make a motion that we recommend Article 15.
Second motion.
Any further discussion?
So I'm just curious why these come as citizens petitions instead of.
Well, that's a great question, Greg. So moving forward, Fiona and I have spent way too much time debating and talking about this process. So we are going to work together before we get to the next town meeting to try to come up with a streamlined process that doesn't involve the citizens petition route. It's just it's a Grafton thing. It's written into a lot of different policies that we have, and it's just we find it to be odd as well.
Because
So
I didn't remember that being a requirement from the bylaw.
Bylaw.
Dave,
Yeah, I was
if
just
you-
gonna say, oops.
Yeah, because when we do it, we just put the article, if a developer comes forward and the planning board and certifies the road is built to the subdivision, we just put it on the warrant automatically.
Right.
It's written into the subdivision rules and regulations.
Oh,
No wonder why we didn't see
That's
it.
where it comes from.
So it's up to the planning board to change that.
The planning board, yes, the planning board can change the subdivision rules and regulations, and, you know, this is something we probably,
Yep.
you know, between Fiona and, you know, you, Evan, and the planning board,
yeah,
we can make that work.
absolutely. Fiona's been saying that Dave Robbins is holding it up, but I didn't.
But I like that power.
There you go.
Heather, I see you had your hand raised there for a
I
moment.
just, yeah, no, I just remember it. I always thought that it was the town administrator who brought it forward in the past, or maybe it was the planning. No, it was the town administrator, and then we always said it. The planning board said it was good to go. Then we always said yes. So I guess it's changed.
You giving up that power, Evan?
I would love to. It's. I'm sure that the.
I think now we're doing it correctly, based on the bylaws. So I guess now the bylaws need to be changed. Is basically what you're trying to. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a cumbersome process, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Maybe it did, again, when they wrote it in, but it just doesn't in 2024. So I think we'll just work together over the winter and see if we can't get that better aligned for May. But we all recognize that it's a kind of an odd process.
yeah, it's a bit confusing for folks as well, so.
and it's
Is
very
16
very
the
hard to
same
tell
thing?
whether the citizen petition just came out of nowhere or if it had actually been already approved. and everything.
Right, and that's confusing, absolutely.
So I take it Article 16, same thing, citizens petition, the road's been built to subdivision standards, the planning board signed off on it, the select board adopted the layout.
Yes.
I make a motion, we
We're
recommend.
still
We
on.
are still on the first.
Oh, I thought we voted on that.
No.
We did not.
Oh,
We
just
had-
was
we had
still
been a
discussion of the
Evan,
motion.
will you please keep me under control on this?
I'm trying to.
I'm
that
already
button
failing. You're fine. You just need to calm down.
It's been a long day. I got to work at 5 this morning, forgive me.
I hear you.
Use that gal.
Aye.
Give it to me. All right. Any further discussion on Article 15? All right. Seeing none, I'll take a roll call vote to approve the article as written. Heather?
Aye.
Nick?
Is that? Aye.
Perfect. Mark?
Aye.
Thank you. Angelina? Aye. Victoria says aye. Greg?
Aye.
And Skip?
Aye.
All right. That passes unanimously.
Can I make a motion now?
Sure.
I move that we recommend
have
Article
anyone?
16 as presented.
Second.
Do I have any discussion on 16? Now that the motion is open?
Is anyone here representing the project?
Right.
I think
I am. Byron Andrews, Dupree Engineering.
Hello, Byron. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Excellent, thank you. Do you have any additional color that you'd like to fill us in on for Article 16?
Not really. It's the same state as Article 15. The conservation permits have been issued certificates of compliance. Planning board issued a determination of completeness on September 9th. Select board voted to approve the layout on the 17th, and the planning board voted to recommend the street acceptance to the town on the 23rd. So I believe everything's in order.
Excellent. Any additional questions or conversation on that then? Fiona, please.
Just confirming that, yes, said that this is complete, from my office's perspective and from the board's.
Excellent news. All right, let's do a roll call vote to approve Article 16 as written for the warrant. Heather?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Angelina? Aye. Victoria says aye. Greg?
Aye.
Skip?
Aye.
Beautiful. That passes unanimously. Thank you, Byron. Appreciate your time this evening.
Thank you.
All right, on to Article 17, which is to install the sidewalk on Old Westboro Road. Please.
Good evening, everyone. For those who don't know me and haven't had the pleasure of knowing me, my name is William Harris. I'm a resident of Old Westboro Road. I'm a retired disabled combat veteran, 28 years military service. And one of the things about my military service was I always made sure my men and women came home with all 10 fingers and toes and breathing oxygen instead of in a black bag. Since I retired, moved over here to Old Westboro Road, one of the things I've noticed is it's a high traffic road. For those who aren't familiar with it, many people take Old Westboro Road to circumvent going down 122 and through the center of Grafton. We've had several near misses. Actually, one of them was on the 21st of August where a gentleman, a delivery driver, got hit right in front of my house. And he is recovering and doing well, but could have been avoided by the addition of a sidewalk. A couple other things that I've noticed over the last several years is people that run, ride their bikes, walk their dogs, and especially the kids who like to go from house to house. They can't go on the main road because it's just too dangerous for them to walk on. Halloween, you never see any kids on that road at all. It's just way too dangerous. A couple of days ago, in fact, I was coming up Old Westboro Road, and as I came around the corner where the DPW is, where the dirt comes down and it touches literally the white marker line on the left side, or the right side of the road, was Mrs. Offen, who was out walking as she normally does in the evenings. Had I not been aware of the situation and aware of the environment, there's a good chance I could have hit her or somebody else could have hit her. But what I'm trying to do, the whole idea of having a sidewalk installed, is to be preventative and leading forward, what we call in the service, leading forward in the saddle, instead of waiting for something to happen and then being reactive. And I think honestly a sidewalk, after the petition that I put out and talking with everybody that lives in that area on Old Westboro Road, they're all in agreement. Putting a sidewalk in will be very beneficial to not just our neighborhood, but the neighborhoods around us, who also in the summertime like to go down to the farm, Holden Farm, for the events that they have down there, or walking down to the center of town, connecting up to North Street, going down to either the school, North Street Elementary, or all the way down to the center of town. It'd be right, a clear passage.
Yeah, thank you very much. Mark, do you have a question?
Evan, the article says to install a sidewalk. I don't see an appropriation. So how would the town install a sidewalk without funding?
So at the select board meeting, the discussion was that if, excuse me, if town meeting took this up and was in favor of installing the sidewalk, the select board would then sponsor that to move forward as far as.
So we would need to come back to another town meeting in the spring for an appropriation to do the work.
Right, but so, because it's a citizen's petition, right, so we don't have the ability to go out and get quotes and, you know, do all that stuff. So it's more of a, let's call it a referendum on whether or not the town wants to pursue sidewalks on Old Westboro Road.
Have we
Then the
done
town
any?
would, the select board would have to look at cost of easements,
Yep.
you know, all the rest of it. So we're, you know, back of the envelope, we would, you know, I think the DPW director would recommend that if this was to be a feasible project, we would go to Bridle Ridge, just because it makes sense. to
Extend
go
it all the
a bit
way.
farther. And that, you know, we don't have any drainage, we don't have any easements, so, you know, it's probably $3 million would be the guess. Sidewalks are about $1 million a mile if you don't have to do any major infrastructure and adding catch basins and making the water go somewhere else. So again, the approach is citizens petition comes forward. We're going to take a look at that on town meeting floor. If people say, yep, that's something we want you to pursue, select board, then they'll champion it.
Do we know how wide the layout is there? Would you need easements, or is the layout of the road lot?
You would
big?
need-
You would need easements?
You'd need easements and you'd need drainage easements because there's nowhere to put the
anything
water.
up there,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's one of the major probably cost drivers on top of just, you know, we know it's $1 million a mile ish. But but the infrastructure to move that water is probably gonna be up there.
Do we have debt I'm sorry, I just have one more.
Yep.
Oh, please.
Do we have
Of course,
debt
sorry.
capacity? Because obviously for $3 million, we'd have to borrow the money to do the project. Do we have debt capacity within the levy limit to fund a $3 million bond over, say, 20, 25 years?
Yeah, Mary, what's your take on that?
Yes, we do. I can find out exactly how much we have.
I just want to make sure, I don't want to go down a road and all of a sudden we don't have the capacity to do it, so I'm
Right.
sorry.
No, we do have the capacity.
Thank you, Mary.
I'll see Greg first.
So is the $3 million, or the $1 million a mile, is that one sidewalk or is that both sides?
One sidewalk.
Okay. So do we have any idea, does it make sense to do two sides on that, or are we gonna be kind of pushing it to get one?
I think, and this is just from the little amount of time I've spent on the road and looking at that, we would look at one side. You know,
Doesn't seem to be wide enough to put on both
I think
sides.
you'd run into width issues. You'd run into some easement issues. I think it would get more complicated with, twice as complicated. No, but it would be, you like that?
I did.
No, I mean, just trying to figure out, how easements are and just to deal with the water on both sides instead of sheet flow on one side and moving the water on the other side, so.
So I empathize completely. I live off of Pleasant Street, so that's another road where it's like you are taking your life into your hands if you walk. I guess my concern coming into a override year likely is the list of capital projects that we have, and I guess I would want to prioritize where we spend that kind of, because it's just so much money to put in a sidewalk. And I don't think that it's a bad idea to spend our money on things like that, but I don't know what the current list is and, what the needs are elsewhere. That's just such a big cost.
Well, if I may, the reason that I asked the question on the debt service is you want to keep a certain percentage of your budget, operating budget for debt. Because if you lose it, you never get it back. So I asked the question if there was enough money in debt capacity so it wouldn't impact the override, because you're probably going to want to spend that money on debt regardless of the other operating expenses.
Right.
So, but to follow up on Angelina's point, the question is if you were to put together your capital plan, priority-wise, where would this fall? Would this be a high priority of yours going forward? Because I think the gentleman makes a very good case. I travel that road all the time.
Right.
Yeah,
I've actually almost hit Laura before as well.
Oh no.
I wasn't trying.
Were you trying? No, I'm just kidding.
No.
I used to deliver mail when I worked for the Grafton Central Post Office, and Route 4 is what Old Westboro Road is. You come up North Street, and you take the Y intersection, you're going down towards Estabrook, and twice in a white mail truck with flashing yellow blinkers, I've had people come around that curve and come about maybe 3 or 4 feet, if not closer, and you can't tell me that you can't see a white mail truck.
So priority-wise, my question, where are we with that?
I'd just
So
like
we
to mention that Dan Kusher has arrived as well, so he'll be voting in the next rounds. Thank you, Greg.
So we don't have any sidewalks in the capital improvement plan. We don't really have a sidewalk priority plan. We have a asphalt management plan. And so that's something that we've been discussing, is creating some sort of hierarchy, I guess you would say, of need. I think again, if the town wants to see a sidewalk on Old Westboro Road, then we'll put it in the capital plan, and we'll figure it out.
I mean, I'd like to see a sidewalk priority plan. And I think, this road is definitely a high speed road. It's a really high usage road, and a lot of people walk on it, shockingly. But there's a lot of roads like that in Grafton. So, I mean, I would want to see what we're looking at.
Heather, you have your hand up.
Yeah, how did we fund, I think it was a grant, how did we fund the sidewalk on Milford Road?
I actually don't know where the funding source for Milford Road is. I will have to look at that. That predated.
It was before us, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it finished up. I will get that for you Heather.
Because I don't think I thought that was a grant. No,
So Millbury Street is a grant. We're doing that right now.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, but Milford Road, and that wasn't that long ago because I know the girl who got hit on the road, and as soon as she got hit, like 6 months later, the plans were in place to do the sidewalk. So
I think it probably came from Chapter 90 or your road capital override account. Because I didn't see any grants or anything in the books for anything like that.
yeah, I would check. You know who would know is he left, but Paul would know because I know I've talked to him about this before. So maybe ask him because for some reason I thought we had gotten money for that. I don't know why I think that, but
it
was something to look at because someone I'm on it as soon as she got hit. My son's friend, it was like sidewalk within 6 months.
It was partially funded, $300,000 from the Shared
There you
Winter
go.
Streets and Spaces program.
Okay, which is not really a lot of money, but it's something.
I take no credit for that. Colleen just texted that to me from there.
I just forget. I remember
Colleen.
some of it.
Works for me.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, that was.
So I don't know. I mean, maybe we look for grants or something. For I don't know.
Oh yeah, we do constantly.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, again, if this is a priority project for the select board and for the folks at town meeting, then we go all out. We find wherever the money comes from. So we've
What
got
did
some.
what did the select board say last night about it?
They support support the project, and they support the project and want us to figure out how to pay for it.
Yeah, of course.
But
Your turn.
I mean, I don't think anybody disagrees that it's a high speed area. You do have quite a bit of walking traffic. It's definitely not it's not a safe road to be a pedestrian on. And we do have a number of those, right? And so that.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. Pleasant Street, just like Angelina said, that road is. I mean, people think it's a highway. They drive so fast on that road. It's incredible.
I know.
And it's crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, like she had said, I don't know if you have a priority list of all the roads that it would be, that you could possibly have a sidewalk on. That would be interesting to see as well.
Yeah, we have a sidewalk inventory, and we have the prioritization plan, and that is walkability for schools and common areas, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
Okay.
But neighborhood connectivity is important as well. That's something
Of course.
we've been going after. So we have, we're doing North Street right now, from where North Street ends all the way to Bicknell. So to connect those neighborhoods back in there, for walkability, to the common, to the parks, we have two walkable right there. So I think we probably have work to do to make a public facing document that prioritizes this, but I think we have probably the bones of it.
Dan?
Yeah, I think it's important to prioritize this and do it in an order that's thought out with the bigger picture in mind. 'Cause I agree that a sidewalk's needed here, but then next town meeting, a resident on a different street that really needs a sidewalk could bring that in, and just having a process to it that looks at the bigger picture is, I think, a better way to go about it. And I kind of feel bad because I don't want to disagree with the citizen petition that a sidewalk is needed here. But I think, and I also think we should probably try to find a way to do this faster. I know adding sidewalks is something that we want to do, but it always feels like it's a lower priority than what I personally think it should be. And actually, on that note, I know a few months ago there was a little bit of talk, like a tiny bit of talk with the select board about reevaluating where we are with the road service plan. I don't know, Evan, if you have any update on that. And I guess the idea that maybe there might be possibly a slowdown in how much work we need to do on the roads. If there is extra capacity in those funds, that would be a great idea to put toward extra sidewalk capacity.
Given the conversation, this is the issue that's before us tonight. I think you've heard from us that it probably makes sense to put a priority plan together and start doing that. I'm sure the select board talked about that as well, but based on the conversation tonight, I'd make a motion that we recommend Article 17 as presented.
Second.
Any further discussion on Article 17? Hearing none, I will take a
Wait, why are we gonna you're gonna recommend it as presented? What about a priority list?
The article doesn't give us the opportunity to do a priority list, so I'm recommending that, following what the select board talked about, saying that if town meeting passes it, they'll direct Evan to start the process of engineering and going forward. So I understand that, so that's how that sidewalk would get done. And I also thought I heard you say that you're gonna start looking at putting together a priority list moving forward, because I think it was Angelina that said, or somebody said that all of a sudden, people on Pleasant Street now, 10 of those residents are gonna sign a petition and bring that one forward. So I think we need to get out ahead of that. But given that this is before us tonight, that's why I made the motion that I made. I hope that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's not asking for money, and it's not going to get done because of this. We're just saying, yes, we are giving you the permission to look into it more.
Town meeting
Correct?
still have to
I
appropriate
know,
the
but
funds.
it's sort of like leapfrogging the priority list by doing it this way.
It's true.
That's a fair point.
I think what I heard Evan say was if this goes to the town meeting and it gets passed, that they'll take that as a priority and start working with the engineering and go from there, which I would not be in favor of, because that's taking one project without any consideration for the other issues that we have for sidewalks, and doing that now without knowing that there's more important things to do with sidewalks someplace because we don't have a plan. So
That's what
I think that the clerk put it well when she made her first statement.
Now you can thank the vice chairman for agreeing with the clerk. That's reciprocation.
I think Mr. Kusher agrees as well.
Yes, Dan, do your hand is up?
Yeah, I agree that I think if the idea is to just see if residents want a sidewalk on the street, I feel like people will say yes. I mean, I think without dollars attached to it, without priorities and saying, well, if we do it here, that means doing it on this other street's delayed, without any kind of data to show that this is actually the most dangerous stretch of road without a sidewalk in town. I don't really see that town meeting voting in favor of this really changes the decision. I think I feel like this is raising the concern and kind of making all of us realize that we really do need to get this done faster and get more sidewalks in on these dangerous stretches. But I guess with the idea that somebody from different dangerous stretch of road might put another warrant article in at the next town meeting, what if they put it in with funding? I think it's doing things in a more kind of top down, looking at the big picture and then deciding what's the first step, what's the next step. To me, just feels like more of a good government way of doing this.
I can joke and say mean long and drawn out, but I get what you're saying. I do understand to have a plan first, and then I do understand what you're.
Might have a motion, might as well.
Right.
See what happens.
Yeah, we do have the motion open. So is there any further discussion? Greg?
So I think it is useful to put it before the town and see what they have to say, and that get input from the town in that way and say, is this something that the town wants to consider? Is this something that the town wants to spend money on? Do we want to build up this sidewalk program, or is it something that they don't see that that is a high priority? So maybe if this does pass, then it's kind of what it's saying is, yes, we need to have a priority and we need to start moving on this maybe over some of the other things we might have put together as a priority based on the input of the people who get involved in the capital program.
Right, and having something in the recommendation stating that very explicitly, right? That what the finance committee is recommending is that this be a step forward in taking a concerted effort at creating a prioritization. Angelina?
I think my concern is that it sounds like a very expensive sidewalk, and so, you know, if you're talking about where the money could be spent and impact, like, we just have no idea what other needs are around town for sidewalks and where they would be prioritized and how much they would cost. Like, I know that putting sidewalks in Pleasant Street would be very difficult because there's like no room into people's yards, so that would also be a very expensive place. But perhaps there's places in Grafton where it's dangerous, and also putting in the sidewalks wouldn't be an issue with, you know, drainage or other things that are going to drive the cost of this up. So I just feel like putting this before the town in an override year and saying it might cost $3 million and we'll find the money doesn't make any sense. Like, I just don't think we have.
I didn't say we'd find the money. I said we have debt capacity.
No, I know, but that money for debt, we have a list of things that we need to fix.
Yeah.
So
fair point.
I don't know. I don't think this is the way to do it.
Heather, one final comment?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think even if we said, I mean, you could say if we said yes or if we said no, which I'm leaning towards the no, in our comment, or in our blurb, we can say although we fully support a sidewalk review, you know, throughout the whole town, we can't say yes to something that we don't really know if it's necessary or if it's the top priority, I guess, because aren't we supposed to be voting on the article and not reading into it and saying, well, all right,
You're right. My motion was as presented, so the article.
Madam
Yeah.
Yes.
I know you already have a motion. Can I just say one thing? So one of the things that I like most about this job is that you can have citizens petitions come and they can petition their own government for action. And so I understand what you're all saying. I do think that if town meeting takes a look at this, whether it's an override year or not an override year, we have capacity, we don't have capacity. I think that it's important for us to build the data, but I also think it's important for us to weigh the will of the voters that are going to ultimately pay for this, whether it's an actual priority by numbers or it's not. So I do like, I guess that's just my whole take on government.
Except
but
we know what's coming, and they don't necessarily.
Well, I think it's
unless
our
people have been paying attention, they might not know how.
The other thing I do want to mention is I don't think this wouldn't go to the floor without the explanation from my office that here's what the project would likely cost. Here's some consideration of where the money would come from. I mean, we're going to do that up front once we gather everybody's kind of opinion, and then that's just the nature of the process that we have. So, I mean, I think that, you know, we all take very seriously and I know you do too. I don't want to be sounding like I don't think you are, but I mean, I think if the will of the voter is, yeah, it's going to be $3 million, and yes, we're going into possibly into an override year. We want you to proceed with Old Westboro Road because we think it's a valid project. Then I don't our data can say what our data says. The taxpayers are gonna ultimately win that conversation.
Greg had a
So
comment.
I had a
and then
question for Ed. What other sidewalk projects do we have currently, and how were those sidewalks selected? Besides we know there's the Millbury Street one, which was the grant.
Yeah, and the only other one we're doing currently is the North Street one. That's funded via ARPA. And so again, the connecting public places and schools is basically what led that conversation with the ARPA committee, and was the recommendation of the DPW director who was on the ARPA committee. So we weigh that. The other thing we've weighed, and when we've had other conversations about sidewalks, is when you're connecting a neighborhood to another intersection or another place, how many residences are you picking up in one shot?
And
right?
does that project connect to this one at all?
So this would go all the way down, correct me if I'm wrong, but to where that triangle is at the top of North Street.
Yes, sir.
And then-
Go all the way from Weston, all the way down to the Y intersection at North, which is approximately 1.5 miles.
And there's a sidewalk coming up North Street, so
There
there
is
would be
now, yeah.
connectivity.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a little spur where there might not be. We'd have to figure out how to do that triangle. I haven't looked at the easements for that triangle, so just to be clear. But you'd be right there. I mean, you're within, whatever it is, probably 60 feet, maybe 100 feet. at
Not
that
even.
point.
We'd be talking about crossings from one side of the street to
Correct.
the other
At that
somehow.
point, yes.
I don't like recommending passage of this to the town meeting in the absence of information on what other projects may be out there like this. And would favor seeing, a proverbial inventory. Like when we go to the roads, we said, okay, we want to do $1.5 million a year.
Right.
And we, look at all the roads and say, okay, these are the ones that need the attention first, and there's a priority set up for them. We might have other situations where if we're just going to allow people to bring them and kind of recommend, saying, oh yeah, they need a sidewalk. Okay, great. Well, so do these guys, and so do these guys, and next thing you know, we've got a half a dozen projects that because we failed to prioritize them, we put them out to the town, and the town said, yeah, we need sidewalks at all these places, and all of a sudden we're spending all kinds of money we don't have.
We're not allowing them, they're doing it by citizens petitions.
Right, but
Town meeting
I
has the final
think
say,
it's-
as Evan said.
right, it does, and it's the purest form of democracy that we have in the planet.
Love it.
But I don't think that we should just go out there and say, in the absence of any knowledge, yeah, they need a sidewalk, so have at it.
I move the question.
I think I'd like to barter that, Mr. Courier. In the absence of any knowledge, you've already had a couple of accidents where people have been hit on roads that aren't safe for pedestrian passage. And the thing is, again, is my experience in dealing with the public is several people, Keith Hill was one, where I used to deliver to Keith Hill, Pleasant Street. I ran Pleasant Street for quite a while, for almost a year. And I know what Pleasant Street's all about. And again, the thing is what I'd like to bring to you is, again, I understand the priority. I understand the finances. After being in the government for all the years I was in, I know all about finances. I've seen that happen. But the thing is you got to put a priority also on pedestrians. Are you going to say, well, let's wait. Somebody gets hit, and now you're saddled not only with that injury, but the possibility of a good chunky lawsuit. And that is something that you want to avoid, I'm willing to bet.
What I am saying is there could be other places in town that would give us a lot more bang for the proverbial buck to serve and prevent the potential for an injury, and we do not know about that right now.
Right.
We have no list. That's what I'm saying.
Right, okay, I got you.
I move the question.
Second? All right. Any further discussion? All right, let's take a roll call vote, starting with
What are we voting? We're voting on calling the question?
Yes.
We're voting on calling the question.
calling the question. Apologies. Heather,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Dan.
Yes.
Wait, what are we
We're
voting on?
voting to move the question.
move
to
the
vote on the
Oh,
motion.
okay. I was like, what's happening?
Yes,
I want to stop debate. I
To-
want
to move
stop
the
debate,
vote.
yeah.
She's like a
Gotcha.
town meeting.
Mark.
Yes.
Yes.
Victoria says yes. Greg?
Yes.
Skip.
Yes.
All right, perfect. Now, do I have a motion?
I already made the motion.
Yeah.
It's on the floor.
Yeah.
Apologies.
We just have to vote.
Well, nobody seconded it yet.
Yes.
Greg seconded
Oh.
it.
Greg, yeah, Greg signed it.
Long time before discussion.
All right,
It was
perfect.
about a half hour ago. Skip.
Yeah, but good, valuable
Absolutely.
discussion. So thank you everyone for your participation.
Can I just clarify one thing before we move off topic?
Do you not understand what move the question means?
It doesn't apply to me. I'm not on the committee.
It's a fair statement.
We do have we have an inventory of sidewalks and where sidewalks are needed. It just doesn't have a priority
Understood.
attached to it. Okay. Skip said something different, and I'm like,
Well,
it's not going to stand, Skip.
Well, we have
We
a
just
list
got
of
that brought to our attention, so at the time it was true.
All right, so the vote on the question is to approve Article 17 as written.
Recommend passage of Article 17 as written.
Thank
That
you.
was my motion.
That's right. All right, by roll call, Heather.
I'm gonna say no.
Okay. Nick.
Yes.
Dan.
No.
Mark.
Yes.
Angelina.
No.
Victoria says yes. Greg.
Yes.
And Skip.
No.
4-4. I knew that was gonna happen. I knew that was gonna happen. So that means the finance committee doesn't have a recommendation? Is that what a 4-4
Well,
means?
it doesn't go up or down, and I would be more than happy to write the blurb for this. Because
So-
I think the discussion that will occur at the town meeting will be very similar to what we had here.
Okay. All right. So we just, the way we'll put this in the warrant is the finance committee has no recommendation, and then we'll approve Skip's blurb. Does that make sense, Victoria?
That makes perfect sense to me. I agree.
All right.
Are we going to meet again before?
We'll have to meet before-
the warrant goes out.
We'll have to,
Yeah, because we have to approve our recommendations.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll have to
So I
have
mean,
one
we
more
could
meeting.
take a vote again then, and maybe we'll have an odd number of people
And we'll
and
have, yeah,
force
'cause
it
we have
to a decision.
member who's absent. So.
Oh, yeah, he could be here then.
Yeah, it's true.
So we can come back to this.
Yep.
Yeah, that's our first divided vote that I can remember in a long time.
Well, do we have, maybe if I get creative and write this now, we can vote on it before the end of the meeting.
Let me ask a question. Will that prevent you from speaking the rest of the meeting as you're writing it?
Yeah,
Skip, I'm just giving you a hard
we
time.
love your undivided
Well, first,
attention.
mouth.
Skip.
I think you've been taking up more air in here than me for a change.
Thank you very much for coming in and representing
Yes.
the article.
thank
you.
Yes.
So,
You're welcome.
so
And-
appreciate it.
Of course.
Don't take any of the levity that goes on here as to denigrate the situation that's there.
Very serious. We like to have fun as we do our serious work.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that is the end of.
Nope, one more.
Oh,
Article
18.
18.
just kidding. Article 18. Faulkner Road is a public way. Do we have anyone here for?
Yes.
Perfect.
Good evening, I'm Kevin Mulvey, I live on Faulkner Road, and we're here to try to get the town to approve Faulkner Road to be a public way. It's one of the few remaining private roads left in town. And basically what we're looking to do is have the town maintain the road, that's what we need. It's in horrible condition. Sometimes it's in worse than horrible condition. It's a good sized private road, we have 20 residences on the street. And one of the points we all make is we all pay the same tax rate as everybody else in town, and that the private road has been there for decades or longer. And it's just not maintained. We do our best as residents of the street to maintain it. Luckily, we have someone on the street that has some equipment, and he'll do his best to backblade it, and try to fill in some of the potholes as the best as he can. But he's elderly, and that's not gonna last much longer. I've been in touch with the highway department, those guys, Kevin Gallagher and Paul, and they just can't do anything to the road because it's private. So it was up to their recommendation that we try to have it accepted as a public way. And that's just what is going on with private roads today anyways, in 2024. There's just not many left, and they would just rather see them all just become public ways anyways. So that's where we're at with that. And, you know, I don't want to go into a long drawn-out presentation. I just want to give a couple bullet points.
So,
Angela?
sorry. No, go ahead.
Okay.
So, I saw your presentation before select board, and so I have a question to Evan. Do we have more information since then about the state of the road? And I know, were you having to look into ownership or anything like that, or was that a different?
I think that was that. I hope not, because I haven't been doing that.
Okay.
I don't.
I didn't,
recall
I
that.
thought there were some unresolved questions at that point, but.
I thought I recalled.
Okay.
Yeah.
I may have been
How
thinking
can
of
you,
another.
is there a layout?
No,
Do
so
we
it's
know
just-
where the road sits? Do we know whose property? Does everybody own to the center? This is a very complicated issue.
Right, and so again, this is citizens petition. I believe we're going to take the same approach that we did on Article.
So if town meeting says to accept it, we would have to go back, we would have to do a, you
Yep,
know,
and we did discuss
subdivision-
that briefly. That this is a step. We need to have meets and bounds. We'd have to have easements. We'd have to do all of that stuff. But this will tell us that start doing that.
How long is this road that you said there's 20 residents on the road?
20 homes on the road.
How long is the road?
It's not that long.
No, it's not very long.
Quarter.
Too far to
mile,
throw a
maybe.
rock, but not. No, just.
It-
I actually
Not a
didn't measure.
pitching
Hold
wedge,
on for 1 sec. Give me 1
It,
sec.
it was a bunch of cottages.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where would the funding come from for it?
From our stabilization and Chapter 90 money, we would put it into the queue. We did have a brief conversation about this. That, you know, when your road gets accepted, it's not an instant it gets paved tomorrow.
No,
So
we wouldn't expect that.
what this would allow us to do is go in there, fill the fill the holes, make it passable, and then start the process of meets and bounds and all the rest of it.
I think that's what I was thinking.
No.
Was this the early, the stuff we could do before all the other stuff?
Right.
That's,
So
okay.
town council has not blessed off on this. Usually there's other language that goes along with
There's
it.
a ton of language that has to go along with
But,
this.
so again, citizens petition route. And so I would anticipate this. If council has issue with this language and we're not able to write that for town meeting, you would see this again in the spring,
Right.
written as the lawyers would want it to be.
Okay, because town meeting voting this as a public way has no legal bearing. You
Because there's no
can't,
meeting
it doesn't become a public way even if town meeting votes this.
Right.
Because the planning board has to sign off on it and the selectmen have to accept the layout.
Right.
That doesn't allow it here.
Making a private way public by citizens petition is difficult. It requires a lot more expertise than I think the residents can have coming in, and that we can just produce in our office without counsel, right? So, again, I think I would leave it at, even if town meeting is not able to vote this in the way that we had maybe hoped through the citizens petition process, you would see this again in May with the entirety of the language about meets and bounds and everything else.
This goes back, this is sort of like the same argument that we just had with the previous article, right? We don't have an appropriation. It's $1 million a mile usually to build a road, right? So that's why I asked how long the road was.
About a quarter mile.
Right, so you're looking at $400,000
Like I
to
said,
build
too
this
far
road.
to throw a rock.
Too far, but it
For
could
you.
be, could be a 9 iron, could be a 9 iron.
Yeah.
But, so this is just sort of getting the will of the meeting, whether or not they want you to go through the expense of doing it.
Yes.
So again, I guess I would
Same issue you had
be
the last
looking
time.
at priorities, like if we're going into an override and we're asking people for more money in their taxes, I think we have to look at every single thing that we're spending money on, and this is gonna be a miserable budget season.
Then the people who live on
First,
Faulkner
I'll
Road.
have
Right.
Greg, and then
Yeah.
Janice had
Taxpayers.
his hand up. So, Greg, please.
So, I know we had a similar situation with a petition for Junkers Terrace.
Yep.
A while ago. What did we end up? Didn't we end up with the select board initiating the process
Correct.
before town meeting, and therefore we passed over the citizens petition at town meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Has that been discussed with the select board at all, or?
So the
is
select
that
board
not-
were, and correct me if I'm misremembering what happened at that meeting, but the select board were in favor of moving forward with making this a public way. So, that's why I'm confident that even if there's a deficiency with this language, or council says, look, you can do whatever you want, but it's not binding, you would see it back in the spring.
This is the spirit of this is more of a referendum spirit of the meeting.
Same thing.
Because there's no legal bearing to this.
Yeah, and so we have, and I do want to just mention one thing. So we have a Grafton is challenging with citizens petitions because the deadline for submission doesn't give us a great amount of time to then vet anything with council and send it back in a way that the resident could then make corrections and regather those signatures. So we ran into this with Mr. Harris with Old Westboro Road. We ran into this with Faulkner Road. This was right at the end of the process. So knowing that, we need to make some tweaks to that process as well. I think that the override, this is just me, the override conversation doesn't really play into this because we're going to add this to a plan that we already have, and that money is already
in stabilization fund.
Stabilization fund.
But what
So-
else could that be used for? I guess would be my
Only roads.
question.
Only roads. That's all we can
Not
use it for.
sidewalks.
No, we can use it for sidewalks too. Right. We don't have enough money to do anything, Angelina. So we have to just do everything and just figure it out.
Dan, please, you've been patient.
Yeah, I think I agree. This is it's kind of similar to the previous one in that there's several of these that should get done around town, and having some kind of priority would be good. I think it's different in that accepting, correct me if I'm wrong, Evan, but accepting a road as a public way doesn't require us to immediately fully pave it. We could, I guess, prioritize the work that gets done, maybe do some like Band-Aid level work if needed. That'd be kind of way outside of our purview. That would be like a Evan and DPW decision. But I think that makes it a little bit different. I know Evans mentioned at a select board meeting that having these private ways is kind of weird, and it's kind of a holdover from earlier times, and it's a good government thing to get these roads and make them public. So I wonder if it would make sense to I guess like just, I don't know if we have a list already, but get a list together and like let all the residents know that we're planning to do this so that they, I guess, can feel like they're able to be patient and wait for it to roll around to their street. It seems like that's not, it seems like there's probably residents who don't realize that the current administration would like to get their private roads made to public ways. So I guess that's just a sort of an observation / suggestion for a bigger picture approach to this.
I'm gonna call on Heather next. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks. Yeah, I guess my question is, what are the next steps? I guess does this need to be done, or was it something that the citizen could have just gone to the town and I guess gotten it accepted first and then come to the, I guess, are we doing this backwards? I guess is my question.
Can I just follow up on Heather's, please? I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not going to say I'm a lawyer, but I've been doing this for 40 years. This article, even if it passes town meeting, does not give you the legal right to go on that road and spend public funds fixing it.
Right.
Because it's not a public way. Even if town meeting votes this, it's still a private way. I don't want to give the residents unanticipated expectations or whatever, that all of a sudden they think this passes town meeting, you're going to be out there with a plow and doing everything. It's still.
That's my point. Like, I don't understand what this does.
That's why I'm trying to answer your question, saying this doesn't have any legal standing whatsoever. That's just my.
No, I understand that part. So why? It's almost like we're putting the cart in front of the horse. I don't understand why this needs to get done. If I don't know. I guess I'm confused. I understand what he's trying to do. I get that part. I'm not.
I think the selectmen should start the process to make this a public way, but I don't want people to go to town meeting and the poor residents on that road thinking if town meeting passes this article You're gonna be out there tomorrow with a plow and a leveler and coal patch. You're not. You can't. It's still a private way.
I think everybody understands that live on a private way. It's not gonna be an overnight process. We know that. We know it's expensive. And the last thing we want the town to do is spend millions of dollars to turn my little dirt road into a highway. We don't want that. And we understand it's gonna take several years or whatever. There's just the engineering and the layout and all of that. It's just gonna be a lot. But this is just the process that we were told that this is how you have to do it through citizens petition. So that's what we're doing. So I don't know if there's only a few other private roads. I don't know if they have to do the same route or if at some point.
Right, so we had similar process with John Casteras and Waterville Circle. So citizens had come to us either via petition or otherwise. We looked at the road. I think one of them we did pass over at town meeting, but then it was back in the spring, and then away we went. So,
So you said the selectmen want to bring this forward. So I'm gonna make a motion that the finance committee recommends passing over this article.
Second.
Any further discussion? Skip, you had something you?
Did we change, I know we had talked about it, changing the bylaw relative to improvements on private ways.
I have that up right now.
I couldn't remember whether we had changed that or not.
The laying out of a town way or private way may be initiated by the select board or upon the written request to the board by at least 75% of the abutting owners of a private way.
But Evan, we didn't wind up changing that at the last bylaw review, did we?
There were some changes in that article, but that part, I believe, is still the same.
Because if they feel that the road needs some help, they can petition the selectmen, but they have to bear the cost equally based on frontage. But that's just to the surface of the road. Through that. And it's replacing the road with like-kind materials, which is filling the potholes that have dirt in them with more dirt.
I think, okay, so I believe we did remove the cost. That we removed the, oh no, there it is. If at least 75% of the abutting owners agree to accept the betterment costs.
Yeah. So that was the kind of point that I was gonna make. This road was, the development was done in 1926. It's tough to, as Evan was saying, to give these guys the right wording to even get it in here, because we don't want to give them the wording, have it fail, and then have them say something. So what you said is this doesn't mean anything at the town meeting, because
But they should have, the residents of Faulkner Road should have hope that the select board is gonna start the process and this is gonna be on the Springtown meeting warrant.
Right.
I'm just afraid that if the town meeting votes this article, there's gonna be expectations that the town just can't honor. And I don't wanna put the residents in that position. I think you heard that you're ready to move forward. The select board's gonna bring this back in the spring, which is awesome. But it's not gonna solve anything this winter.
right, again, I agree with your motion to pass it over, and with a statement that says that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it would go to select board and planning board, and then select board public hearing, all of that before it even gets to, town meeting in the spring.
Yeah,
So,
is Donahue Lane private?
Yeah. Yep.
I was trying to even think of
There's
off of Keith Hill Road, there was one a long time ago that I think we I'm just trying to think of anything else in town that might be private anymore.
There's a couple in South Grafton. There's Spring Hill Road, Pine Hill Road. There's Anderson Lane up off of Second Street. Those are the only ones that I know of in my street. There's not a lot.
So basically, if the select board refers the layout plan to the request to the DPW to create a layout plan, then this whole article goes away.
Yeah. So it
Needs
sounds
to
to me like it's gonna get started. I think it sets a bad precedent at town meeting to vote on something that has no legal bearing. And that's what my concern is.
No, I agree with you.
Yep.
Not that that matters, but
Well, Heather, it's nice to have you agree with me.
All right, any further discussion?
Dan's.
Oh, Dan, so sorry.
It keeps hiding
Yeah,
the picture
I
frame.
think
Yeah.
just a quick note for a future thing to consider. We could update what's in the charter for citizen petitions to allow some kind of, mutually agreed upon collaborative process to happen after a petition is put in. Just want to mention that's something we could do. We could make that change. So obviously it's outside the agenda item, so I'll leave it there.
I'm not sure that even requires a charter change, but
No.
it's just instructions to the people on how to do a citizen's petition.
I think that's absolutely. We've encountered this almost every warrant season. at this
Every
point,
citizen's petition.
honestly. Okay, so to move on this motion then to pass over Article 18,
Recommend passing over.
recommend passing over Article 18. Heather?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Angelina?
Aye.
Victoria says aye. Greg?
Aye.
Skip?
Aye.
All right, it is unanimous. Thank you.
Okay.
Really
What does
appreciate
that actually mean now for town meeting? Is it not gonna be on
No,
there?
town meeting still
No,
votes
no,
on it.
it-
Our recommendation is that town meeting pass it over, but.
So,
With an explanation
Yeah,
that it's gonna go through the process and will most likely be back at Springtown meeting.
okay,
yeah, you can, if you wanna reach out to me tomorrow, I can give you a little more.
I will, I'll do that. Thank you, thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to me, Evan. I like to play attorney hat at every once in a while.
No, I mean, I think you're right. I think it's hard when people show up at the, and then I'm not
Not his
saying anything
fault.
about, not his fault, but you come at the last day and, it's
can't-
hard to give legal
You feel like the
advice.
door gets slammed in your face.
It
and
does a
you
little
can't
bit.
get
So
anywhere.
I agree. We just need to fix that process to allow us to help people
Dan's
better.
hands up again.
Dan,
So just very quickly again, that's why I feel like having an official process for that would be good. When people show up on the last day with a petition, you don't have time to do the informal back and forth. But if there were some official mechanism for the select board or the town administrator to work with a petitioner who agrees to it to come up with an alternative article, then I feel like that would be very useful and would allow us to avoid situations like this and like the previous one, and I guess avoid the frustrating experience of somebody actually getting involved and actually trying to make a change, and then learning that there were a handful of things that they should have known but couldn't possibly have known.
Right. The only issue here is you have two completely different things. One is a very mechanical process that has to be followed. The other one is much different from that.
Right. I guess my point is if there was an opportunity to work together with a petitioner.
I get your point. I think that's a good
Yeah.
point.
All right. I'll leave it there.
I would say the town clerk page about how to do that, it has not a lot of information on it, and the form itself doesn't have much either. So I'd say both the form and the web page would need to have some significant updates with things like come to us 30 days ahead of time or something before the deadline, and we can help work with you on that. And that's we've talked about it
yeah,
last round as well. So
yeah, in dire need, but in spirit of moving forward with what we're here to do. The next warrant article is 5 from the school department. I believe Dr. Cummings is here.
Hey, Jay.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh,
Welcome.
Have you all met Frank yet?
yes,
Yeah?
Thank
Been
you.
here before?
thank you.
How you doing?
Just like to point out when Frank is here.
Good to see you.
Hey, Frank.
see you.
Thanks, Frank.
These are some good pictures.
Evan helped us with the photo.
Yeah.
That's why.
I sent them in there.
Take that one too.
So, my name's Frank Rothwell. I'm the Director of Operations for the Grafton Public Schools. I'm joined by my colleague, Dr. Cummings.
Jay Cummings, Superintendent.
And I'm here to talk about our North Street Elementary School. We discovered in early August of this past summer that the modular classroom roof failed pretty significantly. I can go into the details of how we discovered that and what specifically we discovered. But essentially, the corners of the roof, there was pooling on the roof. The roof is only 15 years old. The modules are only 15 years old. But the leaks in that roof were coming down the exterior walls and not entering the classroom. So there was no, there were no signs necessarily of water damage inside the classrooms. We saw some punkiness on the outside exterior and some water on the carpets. And when we discovered, explored more closely, we realized that the exterior envelope of the building failed miserably. So we had to punt and come up with 4 classroom spaces. It's 4 classrooms, by the way. 4 classroom spaces inside the building and other places that weren't really meant for classrooms. And we've done that work, and we're trying to rapidly pull out all the bad water damaged material from inside the building and then reconstruct it. Insurance is covering essentially the interior, everything inside, not the exterior walls. When I say
So all
exterior
the
walls,
carpet and all that stuff will get paid for by insurance, but we have to fix the roof?
we have to fix the roof and
And the side.
the exterior sheathing and the finishes on the exterior.
The entire envelope
Right.
actually is on us, and
Yeah.
the interior is insurance.
Did you say last night there's 4-point-something million in free cash certified? Did I hear that last night?
Yeah.
And you need 550,000 out of free cash to do this?
Mhm.
I like to move things along. This seems pretty obvious. So I make a motion, we
Second.
recommend, okay.
Any further discussion?
You just have a quick question. Is this not being part of the capital improvement plan because this is something that is necessary, like ASAP?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So I'd make sure.
This is agreed that this is an emergency. Any additional conversation?
Well, how is the rest of the roof because that's just a small part of the building, right?
When we talk about capital every year, I go over, or we discuss our roofing needs. Our roofing needs across the district are definitely our Achilles heel. This is that 5% of the Achilles heel that I wouldn't have thought was a problem. Like this
Really?
wasn't on our problem list.
very
It
good.
failed. Being 15 years old, we have portions of roofs, like the rest of the North Street roof, I would have bet every cent would fail before this one did. So this part was highly unexpected.
If you look at the photographs, those are those open and shut, those domes there that you see,
Solar tubes.
the solar tubes. Thank you. And there's also like all those little pockmarks are places where the roof had been repaired, probably when they installed it. I don't know what was going on there. None of those points that are typically areas with problems, none of those failed.
Yeah.
The roof, it was just the way it was
Be
installed.
happy to see the pock marks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I add one thing?
Please.
So I've been working with Frank, off and on here. We're going after a grant. It's a $10,000 Maya grant for, roof inspection program. And, the initial quote I got for everything, so school districts and town buildings, is about 35 grand. So I think that we'll either come back to the finance committee and ask the finance committee for maybe some reserve fund to cover the balance after we get the grant, or we would put it on the spring capital plan. But it is something that we've mutually discussed and we know is a high priority.
Jay, is MSBA, have they opened up funding for roof repair?
I actually saw something today. So I can have more information the next time I come.
Because obviously, once you do that study, it sounds like North Street, from what you're saying, the rest of North Street's gonna have to get done.
Oh,
They should have, because BVT was applying for a MSBA grant
Yeah.
for theirs.
How extensive a review have you done of the rest of the envelope of the classrooms there?
Of these 4 modules?
Yeah.
So the entire interior is down to the
It's, okay, so it's the whole thing.
down to the
is-
studs.
okay.
Installation's been removed.
Yeah.
Should be a whole new.
It was carpet on top of tile.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I was letting you know.
They very much. I thought it was overkill, but you don't want mold in classrooms, so they took the tile off. So it's just the sheathing on the floor.
Okay, great. Thank you. Let's move forward to vote for recommendation of passage of Article 5, as written. Heather?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Angelina?
Aye.
Make sure it says aye. Greg?
Aye.
Skip?
Aye.
Perfect. That passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you for your
Appreciate
support.
it. All right, that moves us over to Article 6, Planning Board.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for your time. I'm going to try and be quick. So I do have a little visual that I can present if needed, but instead of trying to kind of explain what we're doing here. But in short, we are proposing to allow mixed-use buildings, which is ground floor retail, non-residential uses with residential above, in our neighborhood business and commercial business districts. So our business districts are quite tiny. They don't take up a lot of land area in town, but they are very important economic nodes for the town. And we just want to try, this was attempted in fall, I think it was fall 2022 town meeting, and it was shut down because of concerns over large-scale mixed-use development similar to kind of the Stop and Shop area. What we're doing is very intentional modifications to the bylaw to be as specific as possible that this will be a mix of uses within the actual structure. Height requirements still apply, which is 3 stories. For the most part, actually, yes, 3 stories for both districts, and the parking will align with mixed-use districts in town. I just something to add is that business owners continue to approach me at my office and kind of talk through kind of creative solutions about how we can implement this type of development style, and especially most in the Common. As the Common is I think we're seeing a lot of activity there in and around, and this is just a great way to promote that area and stick to the kind of feel that I think Town of Grafton likes to see in their development patterns. So I am happy to answer any additional questions. And just one last point of clarification: special permit doesn't allow, this isn't going to just be allowed. It'll still come before the planning board, and they'll issue a permit at their discretion.
Sounds like you're correcting an issue that needs to be corrected.
Yeah, we're excited about it. I think it'll be really great.
Anybody come out to the planning board's public hearing on it?
No, I don't believe so. No.
I always like to ask.
Yeah.
I make a motion, we recommend Article 6 as presented.
Second.
Any additional questions or discussion? All right, seeing none, we'll vote to recommend passage of Article 6 as written. Heather?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Angelina?
Aye.
Aye. Greg?
Aye.
Skip?
Aye.
Perfect, that passes unanimously.
Thanks,
you
Fiona.
so much, Fiona.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much. Have a good night.
You as well. Moving right along to the next set of articles for the CPC.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
So, just start with Article 10.
Yes, ma'am, please do.
So, Article 10 is to purchase 179 and 183 Upton Street around Silver Lake, which is a bunch of parcels we've been collecting over the years. The total is going to be $430,000 out of 2 of the CPA buckets, the Open Space Reserve and the Undesignated Fund. And, yeah, CPC recommended that this goes to town meeting.
These are the last 2 properties to secure the perimeter around.
So you have everything all the way around it. That's what you guys have been working on. I move that we recommend Article 10 as presented.
Second.
Any additional conversation, discussion? Seeing none, we vote to recommend Article 10 as written, or the passage of. Heather?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Angelina?
Aye.
Aye. Greg?
Aye.
Skip?
Aye.
That passes unanimously.
So Article 11 is a baseline report for that property we just discussed in Article 10, and those go hand in hand when we, collect these properties.
Was it, I'm sorry. the
It
baseline-
basically, it shows what the present conditions are,
Ah.
so that if there's something that happens along the way, they have it to compare to.
That's right. I move we recommend
Second.
passage.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, one question. So the purchase would happen first and then the baseline report, or the baseline report be prior to purchase?
So the baseline report happens after we get the deed, I believe.
Okay.
So that's why they usually happen at the same time, usually on the same warrant, but for timeline purposes, it comes
So,
after.
so that's why that one has a later expiration, later sunset date. Okay.
Yeah, and sometimes
Takes
those
a while.
reports take a while. Yeah, we
Okay.
still have some other reports we're still waiting on.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take a vote to recommend the passage of Article 11 as written. Heather?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Angelina?
Aye.
Aye. Greg?
Aye.
Skip?
Aye.
That passes unanimously. Thank you. Article 12.
So Article 12, the Grafton Trails Committee came forward, and this is part of an Eagle Scout project for the Hassanemesset Woods. They want to build a boardwalk bridge.
2, actually.
2. And, as always, the petitioners that came to CPC will defend these at town meeting, and they will have presentations if they so choose. But we have money in the accounts to fund these projects, so we think town meeting should have a crack at it.
That's the,
They're anticipating support from Koopmans in the form of a discount for materials, and then, of course, the Boy Scouts are gonna be donating their time as well.
move recommend passage.
Lovely.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, just one. So there is a scout doing one of the bridges, correct? The other one is still, there's still in progress to see if there's another one doing it, or is that, are they?
One is happening this fall, and the
Yeah.
other one's happening next fall.
Okay.
Two different Eagle Scouts.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of a person for the second project, so.
I don't know the name.
Mobworth?
I think
That's the first one.
Okay.
I don't know if there is a selected person yet, but they're participating.
I apologize if I said that wrong too, sorry.
So I just want to clarify. So is this funding for both of them? Or just one?
Look at the wording again.
It says for two.
Says
two
both.
bridges.
It's for both.
Okay.
Yeah, 2.
Oh, so it's for both bridges, 2 separate Eagle Scout projects?
Yeah, so one will be this year, the other one's next year.
It's nice that they do that.
It's awesome.
Okay. If no further discussion, hold a vote to recommend passage of Article 12 as written. Heather?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Angelina?
Aye.
Aye. Greg?
Aye.
Skip?
Aye.
That passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
And Article 13 is the UUSGU would like to put in a vertical wheelchair lift. So they've previously had a project where they had some accessibility on the outside of the building, and this is kind of a continuation onto the inside of the building.
When did we do that first one? 2 years ago?
Well, it was in 3 parts. So they did the outdoors. They were working on an elevated walkway
remember
to
that.
bring up access into the front.
Yeah.
And that also has an electric door opener. So that provided that. But then the next piece of it was the design piece, because they couldn't just go in and just cut a hole for, for the lift. So they had to hire an architect. So we funded that last year, and they've completed that. I don't know if it was last year that it was actually approved, but last year they were working on it, and that work has all been done, and that project is closed. So this is a continuation of what they've been doing. And I know that there was discussion with town council because it is a religious entity. But unlike a lot of religious entities, the sanctuary that they're providing access to is very minimalistic as far as religious imagery. It doesn't really have it. It's also used for multiple community events. They have a whole litany of them. They have a presentation that they plan to be giving at town meeting as well to answer any questions that folks have. But the commission was in full favor of this,
I move recommend passage of article
maybe I should say.
as presented.
Second.
Aye.
So is 85,000 the full cost of the project?
No, they're funding 140,000 that they raised on their own.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a good partnership.
Agreed.
But something good to include in rationale is the total cost of the project and how much the
Yeah.
CPC funding is.
It's an integral part of the historic district as well.
Yep.
And is this the end of it, this 85?
Yeah, that'll finish.
Because I mean, I have a problem with spending town money on a private, even like church, regardless, it's a private group.
Thingy.
Like it's not town property that we're spending money on. So I don't know. That one feels weird for me, but
We've done that many times before.
I know, and I usually just-
it is a significant.
Yeah.
It
She's
is a
consistent.
significant
She's very
contributing property to the district. And it's an important feature of it, and it is on the both the state and national registries of historic places. So it's an important building.
Dan?
Yeah, I think so. First of all, we've done this at least for one other church as well, and I believe Springfield. I think I heard Springfield used CPC funds for historic preservation on people's homes. They have historic homes, and it's just like a house that a person lives in, but it's for historic preservation, and CPA allows that. Of course, our CPC could decide that they won't recommend those as their own policy. Town meeting could vote it down, so it doesn't mean that we have to do it. But I just wanted to point out that is even if it's just somebody's home, that is something that CPA allows. And I also just wanted to quickly mention I would hesitate to use the kind of secular-ishness of a particular church as a reason. Just I don't think we should be deciding which churches are too religious or anything like that. I think it's more about the historic preservation.
The only reason I brought that up is because there was litigation in the state a few years back, and the town that was supporting it actually lost because of the project supporting it had included stained glass windows with religious imagery on it.
Was that Hingham?
Acton. No,
Acton.
Acton. So this is very different than that. That was part of the conversation that we had with town council.
So did I miss?
That's a good point.
Is this a historic building? Is that
Yeah, very much so.
okay? All right, I gotcha.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, let's vote to recommend the passage of Article 13 as written. Heather?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Angelina? Aye. Aye. Greg?
Aye.
Skip?
Aye.
That passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
I have just a couple quick questions for
Sure.
the blurb thing.
Yep.
So what else besides 140,000 that they've raised? Any
I can send you their budget.
that's when I've written the blurbs, I've kind of reached out and got
Yeah.
those little things. It just helps us.
Yeah.
We can send you each project's application, or at least the budget portion of them,
the little
so you guys
thingy,
have
yeah.
them. Yeah.
Are you writing every blurb?
Well, I don't know. I just said
He has been pretty
us.
quiet.
I know.
This is to be truthful. These are ones that we could give Amber standard blurbs. However, we just need the money pots to fill in the blanks.
We can get you that, Skip.
But that's if it not just if like you said, Koopman's is helping them out with materials on the Scout project. Anything else that I'm just thinking of like when we did Stone Arch Bridge. We got materials in time and all that kind of stuff, and we put that before the town meeting.
They have
When we
a
did
report
things.
we can send to you too.
Yeah, okay, that's cool. So I guess we can have a Zoom meeting and do the blurbs then.
Thanks for coming in.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Appreciate it.
Have a great night. What's left?
What do we have? How many other? Oh, we just have Mary left.
That's right. Finance Director.
Mary, you're gonna extend this meeting. What are you doing?
Hi.
Hello,
Oh,
ma'am.
mine are real easy. Easy peasy. So I'm trying to clean up my outstanding bans. And I'm looking to rescind, 2 prior authorizations to borrow. The first one is the Title V improvements. Banks have this program already and they offer a lower rate than the town can. So, not last year, but the year before, the auditors were questioning why we even had it on the books. And, they were telling me, about how, the banks have a new program. And I confirmed with our treasurer collector. And, yes, the banks do have a Title V improvement loan program. So I would be looking to rescind that borrowing.
Move to recommend passage of Article 1 as presented.
Second.
Any additional discussion? Seeing none, vote to recommend the passage of Article 1 as written. Heather?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Angelina?
Aye.
Aye. Greg?
Aye.
Skip?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you.
The second one was for the fire truck borrowing. So we authorized 740,000 and we banned 600,000. We had 140,000 already allocated in the capital. So we do not need that money. So I'm looking to rescind that borrowing.
Move to recommend passage of Article 2 as presented.
Second.
Any additional discussion? All right, seeing none, vote to recommend the passage of Article 2 as written. Heather?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Mark?
Yes.
Angelina?
Aye.
Aye. Greg?
Aye.
Skip?
Aye.
That passes unanimously, and that leaves us with Article 14. Mary, take
Yes,
us home.
so this is a yearly article. This allows me to transfer from the stabilization to the road capital account.
Is this did we put the 2.5% or whatever increase that you're
Yes.
supposed to do?
Each year.
Each year?
Yep.
Move recommend passage of Article 14 as presented.
Second.
Any additional discussion?
Does we not have to do that for the capital, or will that be, is that done?
We did that in the spring, I think, didn't we?
Yes, the capital is done. We make that transfer at the annual town meeting with the capital plan.
Okay.
All right, let us vote to recommend the passage of Article 14 as written. Heather?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Angelina?
Aye.
Aye. Greg?
Aye.
Skip?
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Thanks, Mary.
Thank you.
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
You have a
Yeah, of course.
Yes, did you mention that there was going to be a second possible vote taken on Article 17?
Just the blurb that we're gonna put in, we already made our recommendation, but we have to approve the wording that we put in the warrant with our recommendation. So we're not gonna change our recommendation, it's just,
we could vote to.
oh, we could, because we're gonna have a 9th member,
Yeah, we can.
maybe. So, yeah, because we were
Right now
4 to
it's a
4 on
tie.
that.
That's right.
So.
Yeah,
we could-
right now we didn't vote for or to oppose or recommend passage, so we don't actually have a recommendation at the moment. We really should come back to it for a second vote.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
So should you not close the public hearing?
That's a very good point, Mr. Prasad.
Yeah.
So I withdraw my second to your.
Do we need to keep the public hearing open to reconsider our?
We probably should, just in
Yeah.
case you want to get more public input. I think.
So do we just vote to continue the public hearing?
Yeah, we have to pick a time.
Yeah.
We have to pick a time to move it to, so when do we want to meet?
Well, let me say this about that. I have the blurb written. And the
We
only
don't have a
reason,
ninth, we don't have a vote to break the tie.
Right.
well, that was going to be part of the preamble to my discussion. After having done this for about 20 years, I have never had the committee tie to not be able to make a recommendation.
So you mean
That
tied
makes-
votes before have had a recommendation, is what you're saying?
So should we withdraw
No, I
all
don't.
the
I
active
don't recall
motions
ever
and-
having a tied vote.
Stop it.
So my blurb was kind of like the finance committee takes no position on this article. Wait a minute, I gotta focus my eyeballs. The finance committee discussed the article and agrees with the need for sidewalks to improve safety in this area. However, and Greg will massacre this English, but anyways, we believe a comprehensive plan reviewing and prioritizing our townwide sidewalk needs to be completed for any future action.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's well written.
So
I do too.
that's what the blurb would say, and I just don't know. Again, doing this for finance committee stuff for 20 years, I've never had a tied vote. So I don't know whether you call it takes no position, it failed to garner support,
Well,
or
the
whatever
finance
you want to
committee
call it.
essentially did not take a position on the article. So what you said in your opening statement is right, that the finance committee takes no position. But should we let, Kyle, I'm sorry, I almost called him James, but James is his last name. Should we wait for Kyle to come back and have him weigh in on this so we can have a recommendation? Because I think, regardless of that, I think that blurb is gonna be the same.
Well, would we take another vote again? Like, would everybody vote again?
We would have
Because
to.
if Kyle shows up and somebody else is missing,
Yeah,
then we're
we would
gonna
have
be
to vote-
right
we would have
back
to
in the
vote
same
again.
situation.
Let me say, again, I'll use the same line, say this about that. The only reason we were gonna have another meeting was to approve the blurbs. If we're happy with the blurb that we don't take a position, then we don't have to have another meeting.
No, that's a good point.
But we have to approve all the other ones anyways, so there will be another.
Well,
there's a lot of good points being raised here.
So, my point about the other ones
Yeah.
is that they're all standard.
Yes.
There is nothing that's, we would not give to Amber and say, do these, with the exception of having a couple
Well,
of.
what about the one that we recommended to pass over on the acceptance of the road? Did we wanna have something written for that? Or we're just gonna say we pass over, well, we could say we pass over
that
because
one-
it has no legal authority.
We moved, the finance committee voted to pass over this article.
Because the finance committee believes it has no legal bearing.
Right, it has no legal bearing, and we understand that the concept of bringing this road for acceptance as a public way will come back in the spring 2025 town meeting. And leave it at that. So,
you all right with that?
From that
I'm fine
perspective,
with that as well.
all right.
you know, we would have, everything else is stuff that we've done.
So we're gonna
a
use
million
our standard wording because the rest of those are routine articles.
Right. Everything else is,
What about the CPC ones?
the CPC ones are the same thing.
Well, I guess my question would be, where does this go from here? Does this go to the fall town meeting to where?
It's on the warrant. Your article is on the warrant.
Yeah, so
It will be voted on.
It's just
regardless.
our
Okay, all right,
recommendation.
that I wasn't clear about. I just wanted-
no,
Massive
yeah,
apologies.
so,
This will
yeah.
be voted on by the town. The only thing that we're sitting here going back and forth is the little paragraph that we as a group sign off on below it. The town will still have the final say as to whether or not your warrant passes.
We're required to provide a recommendation on every article.
Yes, sir.
So that's
Right,
what we're
that's,
debating.
yeah, that's,
Of course. Yeah, because the way I understood it, to me, it was clear as mud. And it
Apologies.
just
Welcome
didn't have
to
any
government.
adherence. I didn't understand, am I supposed to go with this? Am I supposed to just?
oh, no,
What am I supposed to do with this?
Once you gave those 10 signatures to the town,
Yes.
town meeting is gonna vote on that article regardless.
Thank you for reminding me. On that note, going back to your conversation for petitions, again, clarity is very important because when I did the original petition, and these gentlemen can definitely attest to it, I went out, got almost all the signatures on the road, brought it in, and it needed to be redone. So I went back out,
You didn't have
again,
enough signatures?
up and down the road, up and down Old Westboro Road, and got more signatures. And it was during the week, unfortunately, so I didn't get as many as last time. But just about everybody I ran into said, I wish my husband was home, I wish my wife was home, or they'd sign it too.
Sure.
So this is oh, my apologies.
No, go ahead.
This right here proves to me that they want this sidewalk. And again, I've been all around town as a postman. A lot of roads are in the same condition. And it's pretty much begging for an incident, which I want to highly avoid.
So
What was
when
the issue?
when you look at the warrant article that you see today, the part that says explanation as submitted by the petitioner was included in the warrant language.
Oh, so it
of the
wasn't,
doc.
so it had to separate
So you
it
wouldn't
out.
even be able to, you couldn't even take a vote to see the town's
Gotcha.
temperature on it, it wouldn't even have made it to town meeting floor.
Gotcha.
It would have been immediately passed over.
Gotcha.
And again, this speaks to the brevity that we have with our current policy, because I had to reach out and then you have to get the signatures again. We really didn't have a lot of time either to discuss what we're trying to get to or get those signatures. It was right up against the deadline. So
Gotcha.
there's, we can help as much as we can help. As far as getting costs and helping with that, there's no time to
There's no
do
time.
any of that part of it. So that's what we changed to try to make it as close to actionable as possible.
If the finance committee is comfortable with Skip's blurb on this article, then I think, Greg, we can close the public hearing. Because we're not gonna vote on it again.
Well,
Kyle's not here.
We
can move on.
reconsider.
We can
right
reconsider
before
the day
anyways.
of town meeting.
Yeah, or another. So the recommendations have to be published on the 14th, so we could conceivably do another meeting like next Wednesday on the 9th, just a Zoom meeting if we wanted to
Just review.
approve all of those and potentially reconsider as needed.
So then we can close the public hearing.
Okay. I believe that motion is still on the floor.
Well, I withdrew my second, so I'm
Okay.
gonna reinstitute my
Yeah,
second.
same.
Okay.
Any additional conversation? All right, seeing none.
So now we are gonna have another meeting to approve the blurbs?
Maybe.
And then ostensibly to,
Well,
if we're not gonna approve the blurbs, that means we're gonna have another meeting.
We will
have a meeting on
we
the
will-
9th.
How many meetings
We
is
will
that?
approve the
I'm gonna be
blurbs
in
on the
Maine,
9th.
so have a nice time.
Yes, the 9th will be we will set up a Zoom call for the 9th so that we can approve the blurbs. All right, so there's a motion to close the public hearing. Heather?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Angelina?
Aye.
Aye. Greg?
Aye.
And Skip?
Aye.
Fantastic. The public hearing is closed. Thank you again very much.
No problem, thank you.
If you need any clarity or want to talk through that, just give me a call and I'll
Will
help you. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. It's, again, it was as clear as mud to me.
Yeah, it's local
It's clear as
government.
mud
This,
to us.
this is
To us,
this
too.
is how it goes in local government. But just reach out to me and I'll be happy to talk it through with you.
Very good, sir.
All right, so let's go through and determine who will be writing said blurbs. And then get the meeting on the 9th.
Well, it sounds like Skip wrote 2 of them.
And then
And
we'll
then
have
the rest
Amber
are
write the
standard.
basic ones.
I think I'm comfortable writing the rest of them and I can copy, I can watch the recording back and see what Skip had said for number 17.
Yeah, and on 13, we definitely want to include the total cost of the project and that they got
Yeah, and-
$140,000
Yeah.
in
Yep.
their
So what I've done,
funding.
when I've done those blurbs in the past is work with John Stevens and get the, their project descriptions and just say, okay, they're getting X from this, Y from this, and Z from that. And that's kind of the spirit of what we wanted, so.
Yep.
So then you'll get the blurbs out to us, Amber, before the 9th so that we can read them and then vote
Yep.
on them on the 9th. All right, perfect.
Thank you, ma'am. Really appreciate it.
I'll be calling in from the 95 up in Maine someplace.
On a fishing boat.
Before we move on,
Yeah.
we still need to update representatives on boards and committees. At least need to confirm current membership. I think there's only 2, CIPC and TRICOM, and TRICOM actually wants to meet next week.
On the 9th?
I don't know. They want to schedule a meeting. Matt Offen reached out to me a couple days ago and asked who the
Still meeting
representatives
Angelina?
were, and I said that still.
I think I know where
we were gonna figure that out tonight.
I'd like to stay on
I
track.
think they're on their
Me too.
website,
Okay.
I think.
And Kyle wanted to stay on CIPC.
Perfect. Works for me. So it's just you 2 on TRICOM?
That's it.
Okay, and then just Kyle on CIC?
CIPC, yeah.
CIPC.
So we don't need to update CIPC at all, and just let Matt Offen know about TRICOM.
I will reach out to him.
Oh, we gotta change your, you and the clerk's
Yeah.
expiration dates on the website. You're still
Yeah,
expired.
we have to update the committee.
You're
map
expired?
stuff.
They're expired.
Well, the
They
website wasn't
served through
updated.
2024.
That's just a
Format.
form we have to do.
Because we reappointed them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In June,
June,
yes.
yeah. Thank you, Greg. Okay, great.
Evan's looking forward to sitting in that one lane on the Mass Pike again.
Yeah, it's coming. I can already
You
feel it.
you feel it. I'm so sorry. You're Saint.
Saint Evan?
I would not go that
I was
far.
gonna say even. I
Yeah,
was like, no.
Jesus.
I'm just trying to get on your good side of
I
this.
appreciate that.
Somebody's got to.
If I say anything this meeting, it's going to be to refute that.
I think he just did.
Yeah, no.
And Amber wrote it down, I saw her.
The minutes. All right, so I think we're on to you, Mr.
Yes.
Broussard.
So, in the interest of the Mass Pike, we're gonna the first 12 slides of this presentation are the assumptions, and so I'll leave those to you to go back and review at your leisure, and we'll just jump right into kind of the grids that tell you where we think we're gonna be.
And also, if I may say, to be fair, you did go through this in a little bit more depth
Right.
last night. So if anyone was not able to attend virtually or in person, we could always go and watch
Yes.
the
That
recording.
was a good
as well.
presentation last night.
It was. I really appreciated it.
Thank you. Is Mary still on there? Okay, Mary's still on there.
She didn't. She didn't.
Oh, no, this is when Mary usually comes in and corrects Evan.
Depends on how loose I get here, whether Mary's watching me or not. Okay, so as we've done in the past, we continue to create a rolling 5-year projection. This is our latest iteration. You can see in front of you that we have broken apart our projection for property tax levy, what we think we're going to get for state aid, estimated local and offset receipts, available funds, and enterprise numbers, which are for indirect costs. Total percentage of revenue change is really the bread and butter of this slide. So you can see that fiscal 26 we're estimating about 3.1% growth, and then 2.7, 3.4, 3, and 3. The 3 and 3 are kind of placeholders, and I would anticipate you'd see those percentages move by 0.2 in either direction. It's a little bit too far out, really, to come up with anything finite. Okay, next page. All right, this is the slide that everyone wants to see. So our fiscal 26 current projection is a 6% growth in total expenditures for a current deficit of 2.245 million. One of the drivers of that 6% is that if you remember the conversation with the school department, and I believe Jay will come and talk to this as we move into this budget process, they spent down a considerable amount of their revolving funds to make the budget meet for this year. Yeah. So part of that 6% and why it's higher than the growth outlined in the other 4 years is that they're trying to recoup some of their cushion early. And so that continues to be a discussion that we have with the school department and Jay specifically, and how to build those accounts back up in a efficable way. The other major driver beyond education for the town of Grafton, as far as what our increases are, you'll see our unclassifieds. Unclassifieds are your insurances primarily, so health insurance for both active members and retirees, as well as our Worcester County Regional is in there, which does increase our expenditures by about $1 million, is what we're currently projecting on that. We could obviously get some favorable numbers, and that would be lower, but I think it's pretty early to be making that.
Well, as you were saying last night, this is your first pass, and it's a living document that you're going to constantly refine. But let me ask you this: that $2.2 million, you can't cut your way out of that type of a deficit.
Probably not, no.
Not without significant reductions to the municipal side
And
and
the
the school
schools.
side.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. I think, without going too far on a ledge, I think that 2.2 million is probably high.
I assume so.
We're carrying, and I think Matt often brought this up. Most of our municipal side departments, as far as our expenditure lines, show between 3 and 5% growth. That's what we plug in there for our projections, because we want our projections to be honestly the worst case scenario, and then we can work our way backwards. I don't project that. I don't expect that that's where they're going to end up. I think we're going to be able to tighten our expenditures up quite a bit. Salaries on the municipal side, at least, do grow by. I think we're in an average around 3%, but for a lot of people it's actually 4.5% because it's a step plus a COLA. So those are our major kind of. Those are our major areas where we have major growth that we need to either curtail or we need to get an infusion of funding.
I've been thinking about this a lot since you sent this out to us, which I appreciate. It's a great spreadsheet. There's a lot of good information in there. Last night during the meeting, you were talking about new growth down the road, some of the potential projects that you haven't counted on and things like that. The last two times we did an override in this community, we did one in 2014, one in 2020. We said it would last 5 years, and we did 5-year projections, and they pretty much held.
Mm-hmm.
Given what's happened with inflation and everything over the last couple of years, I don't know if 5 years makes a lot of sense, especially in light of the fact that maybe through some miracle, some of that growth that you've been hoping for happens 3 years from now or 4 years from now. I thought Mary gave a great explanation last night on when it hits the budget. Have you thought about, if you're going to recommend an override, which I'm going to assume we need to seriously talk about, to maybe shrink it down to 3 years?
Yes.
And that way, because I think years 4 and 5 could be really good years for you, and you wouldn't need to really use it that much.
Yeah, we have had that conversation internally. We've had that with the school department as well. So I think that's a viable. I think it's a viable way to move forward. It does not put all our eggs in the basket of we're going to have all this growth that we actually have no control over whether it actually happens or not. It can be permitted all day and not be built. But it also gives us that. I think it's responsible in the way that if we get that growth, we wouldn't need
to raise the extra money.
Yeah,
The extra,
we don't
extra
need to raise the money. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
I'll be on. You gave this to me, and I use it. It's a wonderful tool. It makes us look really smart.
It sure
which
does.
I like.
It sure does. Yeah.
So I like this, and constant refining of it and things like that. I'd like to see it shrunk down to a 3-year look. Really focus hard on that to see what that means to the town.
Yeah.
And the school district. That's great work, Evan.
Thank you. It's mostly Mary, just to be clear.
Great work, Mary.
Thank you.
Yep. Mary gives me the refinements, and then I play with it and break it every time. Universally, every time. Go ahead.
How much
Sorry, Madam Chair. Angelina.
How much of the 2 million is replenishing those funds that they spent down? Because I would argue that we actually didn't make it through the 5 years.
Agreed.
We had to
agreed.
decimate the revolving funds
to get through
which
last
was
year.
that was all one-time money. So
That's a good
that
point.
makes me very nervous.
Mary, do you have that calculation top of mind?
Angelina, I'm sorry.
I believe it was 1.3.
So
I can-
1.3 of that 2.5 is just trying to replenish those funds. So, I mean, and you were,
Yeah, I was thinking, I thought it was like $800,000. They said they spent somewhere between $600,000 and $800,000 out of the funds.
But regardless of that, which is a good point, you got to look at the 3-year projection. Even if you put that money back in, you're still looking at a major deficit in year 3.
sure, I know that, but you're right. But, I mean, it's 1.3
Yeah,
million
they're
less.
trying
I
to
guess
replenish
I
1.2 million.
Okay. So, like what happened tonight where the roof failed and they had to come in here and get money out of the town's free cash. Like, I mean, you're a lot smarter and way more experienced at this, but like that, I mean, that seems like that's what you do if So that money's there for an emergency, but the town also has money for an emergency. So, I mean, is it necessary to replenish them to that level?
I don't know that I would classify it as replenishing, as putting the money back in the budget that they used one-time money for. So it's not that they're trying to build them back up to where they were a year
don't
ago.
have the recurring
But they are
revenue.
trying to build them back up to where they were.
But I
That was
think-
not
Aren't they?
that's not the impression that I got from Jay's presentation to the school committee.
So last year,
that
Angelina,
was my impression. I
Okay.
watched it.
last year they used $1.3 million in one-time revenues
Mm-hmm.
to fund the budget, which is a mistake. So now, if you want to keep the spending that was in that budget, I think this is what you're saying, Greg, if
Yep.
you want to keep the spending that was in the budget last year of that 1.3, you can't hit those funds again. So you need to put it into the
Right.
tax
But then
levy
they're also trying to build those revolving funds back up, I think.
by not utilizing and spending them to fund operating expenses next year will automatically replenish them. Am I wrong on that?
No.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong, or he's or
No, he's saying he's not wrong. He's saying that's the he's not wrong, but he's not right answer.
That's the. I would like to defer to Jay.
Jay, we have to talk to Jay about it.
Okay.
Let's not speculate.
Yeah.
I
That was my understanding from the school committee meeting,
Right.
but
I
you had
don't-
a different
right.
understanding.
Yeah, because
so-
there was a question about, are we putting money back in the revolving funds? And I believe that they're not, if there is no override, they will definitely not be able to. They may be able to start building it back up slowly over time, but
Every year, since I've been on this finance committee, the school department uses X amount of dollars out of their revolving funds to help offset the operating budget.
Right.
So they've been doing that for years and years and years. Last year, they used more than they had historically used. So what I'm gonna imagine, and obviously Jay will have to confirm this, is instead of using revolving fund money this year, they wanna use the tax revenue
I see.
to do it so that those funds can be rejuvenated.
Automatically.
Because they won't be drawing them down. Now, I could be wrong, but I think that's what.
Yes.
Thank you.
He wants to get on the Mass Pike.
No.
Yes.
No. I
His-
just. I
his
want to
cars-
be. I just want to be careful.
It's Jay's call. We
Right.
gotta talk to Jay.
Well,
I agree.
I don't want to describe it in a way that's not.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that.
So.
Yeah.
Dan, you had your hand raised?
Other people already said it, so I'm good.
Want to go to the next slide? Get on that Mass Pike. No, this is essentially the same slide that we just showed you, just condensed.
Yeah.
Numbers are the same. So, last slides, obviously we continue to discuss new growth. We're always very hesitant to extend ourselves on what we think new growth is going to be. We don't know the UGA number. We don't know Chapter 70. Borrowing, I leave on here. We don't really have any borrowing on the horizon except for the conversation we just had about sidewalks. So maybe it is on the horizon. And then, staffing. This is my last year of trying to add the final 25th officer, the 5 and 5 that we been talking about. We do not have any additions slated for the municipal center. No major changes there at all. And then obviously Jay will present to you all what his thoughts are on the staffing of the schools.
do you have a idea how much the final officer would affect the?
It's in there now.
Yes, but how much of that is from?
The final officer?
Yeah.
So I would say probably just a flat number, 100,000.
Okay.
Right, and so my approach to that is that we leave it in there for as long as possible because we want to see that's a goal that we've set and I've set and I'm trying to reach, and if we get down to it at the end and it's either layoffs or add an officer, then obviously that conversation changes. But for now, it's in there. It's built
And
in.
as you said, they have new chief starting soon, so there'll probably be some conversations there anyway.
Friday.
Absolutely. Yep, Friday. So.
Is 25 the number that you had goal, and that's the end goal, right? So that's the last one.
It's the end goal for now.
For now.
I think that actually you need to probably be at 28 to 30 by the time Grafton, by the time Grafton reaches, let's call it build out. But you're not. I think 25 gets us into a really good
place.
position right now.
That's good. That's good.
Yep.
One more question. Is there progress on the rec, and does that have any impact on these projections at this point?
The rec is not included in these projections. It would have an impact in fiscal 27.
Okay.
But I just haven't put it in there yet.
Okay.
I know what I think it is, but there's some variables that continue to unfold. So I'm gonna leave it as worst case scenario, and then if we can back that off in year 3, we're in good shape. But
Okay.
in fiscal 27, excuse me. I could also run an alternate scenario if you wanted to see what we think that looks like.
If you had a ballpark number, it's not going to be 3 million.
No, it's not gonna be 3 million. And last week we actually set the official timeline, which didn't really give us enough time to then, come to you with any kind of confidence. So
I like the fact you're starting way early. That's important.
Yeah.
Given how early this is, how much of this has been informed by the department heads, or is it pretty much
0%.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yep. And I, yeah, it's just 0%. We, it's real early to get the department heads to start to strategize where they think they're going to be next year.
They just started spending this year's money.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Material costs and all the rest of it. So I think we will get that refined as we come into probably December, mid to end of December, as we normally do. However, in my and Mary's playing around with these things, even if we bring all the departments down to like 2.5% growth, it's only $100,000.
Right.
I'm not saying
Not
it's
the
only 100,
driver,
but it
but
doesn't all of a sudden go, we're great.
we're in like
Well,
twins.
that's
Yeah,
why I asked
exactly.
the question. You can't cut your way out of a deficit like that regardless.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the school is projecting if they had to do that 2-point-something million or the most of that cuts 30 positions.
Yeah.
Across the
What happened in
across the
Groton
department.
Dunstable last year? They cut 27 positions when the override failed. Devastated the school district. So this is. I'm glad you're starting early. We got to get the conversations going. We got to start getting the word out to the public. They need to understand what the impact is.
Yeah.
We need to start saving our Coke cans and stuff.
That's right.
All right. Any other
Count
questions?
No, great job, Evan.
Okay.
Thanks,
Thank
Evan.
you. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
Mary didn't have to interrupt me tonight. I did a good job.
She just realized she was
I
on
know.
mute.
I know. I was like, while I was waiting for it, I'm like, oh, I can't remember what I did wrong last night.
Okay, so next on the agenda is discussing the attendance for the annual ATFC meeting. I'll say that I have gone the last 2 years, found it very valuable, and enjoyed it. Is anyone interested in attending this year?
It is the first Saturday in November,
That is
so
correct.
I am not available this year.
I will be passing this year as well myself.
Somebody should reach out to Kyle to see if he wants to go.
Yeah, he went last year, so.
I will reach out to Kyle and ask him, and then I'll let you know, Amber.
Sounds good.
Where's it? Hawaii this year?
I'm sure it's Sharon.
Yeah.
I'm sure he is, which is quite beautiful. It's right on that lake. It's a very pretty venue.
I move we approve the minutes as presented in the
Second.
packet.
Any additional conversation? Seeing that, vote to approve the meeting minutes for May 13th, 2024 and June 18th, 2024.
Yep.
Heather?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Angelina?
Aye.
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 Greg? And Skip?
Aye.
The town meeting is on the 21st.
That's right.
I have a select board meeting that night, so we'll not be able to be there.
Okay.
Sorry.
We'll put a
You're fired.
scarecrow that looks like you in one of the chairs on the stage.
You can attend remotely.
Yeah, one day they'll do that. I gotta change
You
the
can,
law.
he can watch, you just can't vote.
Can't vote.
Okay.
We're adjourned.
We are adjourned.
Awesome.
Thank you
Great
guys
meeting.
so much. Really appreciate it. We
Very
will
nicely
see you
done.